Hey everyone, George here. And today I wanted to talk to you about a movie that is very special to me. I saw it a million times when I was a kid. I absolutely love this film. The name of the movie is Critters 2: The Main Course. This movie was quite special to me when I was a child. I saw this movie, I don't even know how many times I watched this movie. I rented it a million times from all the video rental stores that I had as a kid. And so yeah, this movie was pretty amazing. And really the reason why I wanted to chat with you about this movie is not only because it's a really fun 80s horror sci-fi film, but it is also, in my opinion, which I don't think there are many of these, but in my opinion, it is the best Easter horror film that exists. I know there's just like some movies, if you Google it, you can see some certain films. In my opinion, Critters 2: The Main Course is the best Easter horror film that is out there right now. So yeah, I just wanted to sit down and chat with you about this movie because it's pretty special. Real quick, before we get started, I just need to warn you that I am going to spoil the entire film. Yes, I know this isn't like Citizen Kane or Lawrence of Arabia. This isn't some masterpiece here. But I am going to spoil the movie, and if you don't want to know what happens and you want to watch it with fresh eyes, stop this video, go watch the movie, then come back and watch what I have to say, because it's a really special film, and I would love to have a conversation with you about it, only if you've seen the movie first. So this film, Critters 2: The Main Course, was made back in 1988. It was directed by Mick Garris. Now, Mick Garris has a really colorful horror career. He is the creator of Masters of Horror, the show, which is a pretty amazing show, the co-creator of The She-Wolf of London, which was I enjoyed that show when I was a kid. He also directed the film Sleepwalkers, with the cat people. That was kind of a crazy one. He directed some television as well. He directed an episode of Amazing Stories, an episode of Freddy's Nightmares, an episode of Tales from the Crypt, and he directed 2 episodes of Masters of Horror. He also made a bunch of made-for-TV movies as well. He directed Psycho 4 for TV. He directed The Stand, and he directed The Shining. He's also the co-writer and executive producer for Hocus Pocus, and he has a story credit for Batteries Not Included, which is a pretty fun movie from the 80s. He co-wrote the film The Fly 2, and he is the creator and host of the podcast Post Mortem with Mick Garris. Now let me tell you the synopsis of this movie. It's Easter Sunday, and Brad returns to Grover's Bend to visit his grandmother. The whole family has moved away since the events of Critters that happened 2 years earlier. While Brad is visiting, a new batch of critters hatch and wreak havoc on the town. Brad, Megan, who is an old classmate of Brad's, the old sheriff, and Charlie, along with the bounty hunters, team up and save the day from the critters. So as I was saying, you can see that New Line Cinema was really trying to push this to be a franchise. So the budget's bigger. They took away like a really dumb power that the critters had, that if they eat too much, they become big. It makes no sense that there would be like a big critter just like barely moving around, right? They're more fun when they're just balls that just roll around and then just like, have their like fun teeth mouth and like just attach to people. So they took that power away because it was kind of pointless. It made sense in the first one, but in this one where they're kind of running around town, it made no sense to have just like this big slow critter. So instead they gave them a power where they all fuse together and make just a giant fur ball full of teeth. And they would just roll around and roll over people. And as they rolled over the people, all the critters' mouths would eat the person. So you would have this like regular person running, and then a critter would roll over them, and then a split second later, the critter ball rolls away, and there'd be nothing there but just a skeleton. It's silly. It's just a fun, silly thing that they had in the movie, but they really were trying to push more with this film. The setting is not a farm. They have them in the town, so there's all these different locations in the town. The townsfolk are characters as well. They have a lot more extras in this movie, and they even made a jingle, like a jingle for a fictional fast food restaurant called The Hungry Heifer. And New Line Cinema also even put a Freddy Krueger reference in the film as well. It's not really a cameo because Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger was not in the movie, but his cardboard cutout was in the film. And it's actually a really funny joke in the movie. So yeah, they really tried with this movie. They tried really hard. Also, because they had a bigger budget, they were able to make more critters, and they really built them really well. They have a lot more facial expressions with their animatronics. You see them clearly. They're not like shrouded in darkness like the first film. The first film, I feel like you could barely see them. In this one, they're in broad daylight. They're all over the place. And you see them in all different sizes. And even when they're in the giant ball form, it's not just this giant fur ball going around. They have these shots of all these critter faces just and mouths just chomping at the camera. And this movie, they really pulled out all the stops to make this into something bigger and better than the first movie. They really tried to make a franchise out of this film. So the other thing with this movie is, the first one was fun and funny, but, it was all everything was just dark. There was lots more mystery around the critters. In this one, it was much more fun. It was much more lighthearted. This movie was all about friendship and love can save the day. Brad gets the girl in the movie. Charlie comes back to Earth. He's sober. Charlie and Brad team up together, friends together once again, taking on the critters. Even the bully in the movie, he's this bad boy who's mean to Brad, mean to the love interest in the movie. And even him, he turns around. He wants to do his part to help fight the critters. So even him, he warms up in the movie and he becomes likable in this film. And also the two bounty hunters. In the first movie, they were very just cold. They were like Terminators, the two of them. They were basically doing their best Arnold Schwarzenegger impressions. Just going around town, just being stone cold bounty hunters. In this one, they were much warmer, much more lighthearted. They joked around with Charlie. There was just much more character to them. In fact, actually, the bounty hunter Lee. So you have Ugg, who was the one that took the form of that singer in the first one. And he still had the same look in this one. And then you have the other one named Lee, who kept on changing different faces. And in this one, that happened as well. And he took the form of a Playboy model. This character Lee, this bounty hunter Lee, ends up actually dying. So one of the bounty hunters dies in this movie. So when Lee, the bounty hunter, dies in this movie, Ugg really couldn't function. He lost his face, and people actually helped him, carried him to walk and sit down, because he just he gave up on life after a certain point in the movie when that his bounty hunter friend died. So they really humanized these bounty hunters in this movie. Also, the other thing is in the first movie, it was just the family dealing with the critters on the farm, and then the bounty hunters were roaming around the town, and everyone was just scared in the first film. In part 2, they were a bit standoffish in the beginning because they were kind of upset about, I guess, what happened 2 years earlier. Eventually, they all put aside their differences and worked together. And everyone in town worked together to fight the critters. And at the end of the movie, when they are combating the critters are, at this point in the film, they're just a giant ball of teeth rolling around, and they had trouble controlling it. And the giant critter's ball was heading toward all the townspeople, and no one knew what to do. And in the end, Charlie sacrifices himself. He flies down in the spaceship and crashes the spaceship into the giant critter's ball, destroying all the critters. So yeah, Charlie was, in the first one, he was just this broken guy, just like this goofy, broken guy who was an alcoholic. In this one, he was still his fun, goofy self, but he was sober, and he was trying to be a good bounty hunter. And in the end, he sacrifices himself, but also because the movie is much more lighthearted, he doesn't die. So after everything, when morning arrives, and it's daytime now, and everyone's sort of cleaning up, and they're having like the final goodbyes in the movie, Charlie shows up. He had a parachute attached to him, so it insinuates that right before he crashed into the giant critter's ball that he ejected. So yeah, it's pretty lighthearted. Yeah, they had some deaths in it, and that bounty hunter Lee died, but that's as dark as they went. They kept it pretty light and fun. So as I was saying, this movie, it's very lighthearted and very fun and warm, and even, I would say, borderline family friendly. Even though it has that feeling in the movie, it's not for kids. When I was like 7 or 8 years old, I rented this movie, expecting to watch a fun creature feature. I sat down in front of the TV, and I'm watching the movie, and the bounty hunter Lee, who doesn't have a face, he comes across a Playboy magazine, and he turns into a Playboy model. And when he transforms into that, there is nudity. The transformation scene, basically all the lady parts, like Lee's butt expands and rips her pants off, and then her breasts get big and rips her shirt off. And basically this actress is just standing in the scene completely nude, and she's playing it like she's unaware of this is anything odd. And I was a little kid watching this movie, expecting to see just a fun little creature feature, and there's a scene like this in it. So it's in that time period, in the 80s, there was nudity and weird, in places in movies that you wouldn't have expected. And this is one of those movies that you will find nudity in a rather odd place. The other thing is, like I was saying, is this movie is very lighthearted and silly. It's a Critters movie, right? Something that's really insane in the movie is the Critters' eggs themselves. So the eggs, we saw at the end of the first movie that there was still a batch of eggs on Earth. And so the second movie, at the beginning of the second movie, the bully in the movie, he finds these eggs and he tries to sell them to a guy, and they talk about them being antiques. They're just these crazy looking eggs. I don't know, they thought they were antique eggs? It's really weird. No one in this movie is alarmed at these crazy looking eggs. So in the beginning of the movie, they thought they were antique eggs. Then Brad's grandma, who is looking to buy eggs for this Easter event, sees these eggs and is confused by them for a moment. So let's say there is a moment where someone's acting normal in the movie.
Where on earth did you get these, Len?
They're from Europe.
So I don't know, does she think that they're Fabergé eggs from Europe, European Fabergé eggs, or some other weird animal eggs that come from another continent? I don't know what she thinks, but she buys them, and then she takes them to the church, and they're prepping the eggs for the Easter egg hunt, right? And they're all painting the eggs, and there's regular eggs in there too. And then there's these critter eggs that look like, the dragon eggs from Game of Thrones. And they start painting them, and they paint everything's normal. Oh, in fact, they actually painted the critter eggs really fun. So, they see that they're not regular eggs, but for some reason, everyone in this movie is okay that there are these alien eggs in town. So it just adds to the fun that are the Critters movies, honestly, because all the Critters movies are a lot of fun, but Critters 2 is so much fun. And the interactions with the townspeople and the eggs is just a great element as to how this movie is just so darn fun. Also, since this movie takes place during Easter, which I'm guessing they wrote that because of the eggs to try to like, I don't know. But it takes place during Easter. It could have taken place any other day of the year. For some reason, they made it Easter time. The sheriff in this movie, who is not the same sheriff from the first film, he's just a new guy. He gets elected in as sheriff, and he is playing the Easter Bunny at this event. And he's one of the first people to die in this movie. You know, it's a really fun horror movie kill. Basically, he can't like zipper the fly up, or he can't zipper the Easter Bunny costume all the way, so like the fly's exposed. And the critters are really small at this point. They're like this big. They're little fur balls like this. And so all the critters just sort of fly into the guy's crotch, and then you see him like moving, like, oh, they're everywhere. And they're eating him. And then he, in full Easter Bunny outfit, flies through the window at the church in front of everyone, goes over the altar, and lays on the ground just covered in blood. And also, that's just another element as to why this movie is a lot of fun. You know, it's like you watch the movie if you're like me, and I'm like a kid, when I was a kid and I watched this film, and you can have like a whole family sitting down watching this movie because they think it's like a fun creature feature movie, and they're gonna see nudity, and then they're also gonna see that you just see someone dressed as the Easter Bunny die in this movie. So like, I don't know. I feel like this movie created some awkward conversations or some awkward moments with a family in the 80s. So picture it, 1989, they sit down, watch this movie, and this movie plays out. I think this movie will create some rather awkward moments for the whole family when they're sitting down watching this movie. So as I was saying, this movie is very positive. At the end of this movie, it's all tied up really nicely in a very happy bow. The bully in the movie, he is a nice guy now. He sort of turned himself around and helped out the main characters to help fight the critters. And the whole town set aside their differences to fight the critters. They all work together. They use teamwork. And in the end, they are working together to rebuild their town. And now they're all like friends with each other. The main character, Brad, gets the girl. He gets to kiss the girl, so he wins the girl in the end. The bounty hunter, Ugg, comes to terms with the loss of his friend Lee. He shows great admiration and respect toward Charlie, and then his alien friends come by and pick him up, so he then leaves Earth and leaves Charlie behind. And that's okay. That's a good thing that Charlie was left behind, because Charlie found peace on Earth. Everyone in town respects him now. In fact, he's now the sheriff of the town. So yeah, this movie is very uplifting and very positive. For like a horror comedy, sci-fi comedy from the 80s, where there's like people dying and there's blood and there's a lot of like creatures in it. It's actually a very warm, uplifting, positive film. And I love this movie, I really do. I saw this movie so many times as a kid. I don't know, it's just fun. It's just like, imagine yourself being a kid watching this movie of these like furballs just rolling around, throwing themselves at people and at like vehicles and stuff. And then they eat everything, and then they form together and create a giant ball, and they're rolling around. So it's like this giant ball full of mouths rolling over people. And it's like teamwork and like friendship, and everyone in town just sort of setting their differences aside, working together, and they all defeat the aliens in the end. It's a very positive movie. It's a very 80s movie where in the end everything works out. There's some loss in the movie, some characters die in the movie, but all in all, like, everyone makes it out okay, and it's all good in the end. So, it's a fun, very fun, uplifting 80s horror sci-fi comedy film that I think you should absolutely watch. And if you have already seen this movie, I recommend you go and watch this movie again. And if you haven't seen this movie, I don't know what you're doing. Why are you watching me talk about this? Go watch this movie right now. I highly recommend that you watch Critters 2. Bye.